All right, welcome back to Harbour Unboxed. We are kickstarting our 2025 Computex coverage on the showroom floor at MSI. And we've heard they have a lot of new AMD AM5 motherboards, many more X870/X870E boards, and B850 as well. So we're keen to check those boards out. We're actually going to dip to their HQ as well for some of this video. So we'll be merging between the showroom floor and their HQ, but hopefully that works out well because there's just a lot of stuff to cover. So let's get to it.
Our Computex coverage is brought to you by MSI's excellent QD-OLED gaming monitors. Offering perfect blacks, infinite contrast, and lightning-fast response times, MSI QD-OLED monitors are the best way to level up your gaming experience. And there are options for everyone, whether you're after an incredible 4K panel or a blistering 500Hz refresh rate, all with the latest features like True HDR, a custom graphene film to cool the display, and HDMI 2.1 with full console support. Check the links below to learn more about MSI's QD-OLEDs.
Also supporting our Computex trip this year is Thermal Grizzly and their Duranaut high-performance thermal paste, offering extreme long-term stability combined with outstanding thermal conductivity. It's not electrically conductive and won't harden over time. So for more information, please check the links in the video description. All right, I have found something that I know a lot of you guys have been asking for. Actually, it wasn't that recent, but when I did test every AMD X870 motherboard, quite a few of you were disappointed that MSI hadn't produced an Mini-ITX board. So they've heard the criticism or the feedback, and we now have an X870i motherboard from MSI. So it is the Edge, and there's some pretty cool features on this board. So I'll start with, well, the M.2s. So one of the criticisms we've had of a lot of ITX boards is the fact that they only include two, usually, M.2s, some of the better ones, 3 M.2 ports. Well, this one has 4. So there are, it is 4 really. MSI initially was sort of saying technically it's 3 on board plus an expansion card, but you can't use the board without the expansion card, and you can use all 4 ports simultaneously. So it really is a 4-port board. So I think they'll probably change the language on that one a bit, but if I can try and hold this with one hand without dropping it, oh, it's a bit sketchy. There's 2 ports under here, and then you have one on the back, which you would usually be able to access at the rear motherboard tray, but that may be an M.2 that you install before you put the board in. And it's silver mostly on the back, the PCB color, or gray, one of the two, which you pick one. But they are going for a mostly, it's a white and silver theme, I would say, but there are black elements as well, like the DIMM slots and the power connectors, all that sort of stuff. And then the 4th M.2 is on this expansion card hidden behind there. And as I said, the expansion card is mandatory to use, I believe, because I think it may have the power and all that stuff on there. Though I'm not 100% sure on that, don't quote me, but I confirmed with MSI, all 4 M.2s can be used simultaneously on this board. And when you install this expansion card here, it doesn't disable anything else on the board, so it is fully functioning, which makes sense because it is an X870 motherboard. You do get the dual USB for 40 gigabits per second ports, as well as a USB Type-C 10 gigabits per second port. And there's a few other Type A's on there. It looks like there's 5 of them in total there, and they all look to be 10 gigabit USB. So plenty of USB support there. A lot of easy connector stuff that makes the installation easy. So you've got the easy Wi-Fi antennas, you just pop them in. Looks like they can be screwed in as well on this particular model, but yeah, they've been told by MSI it's the easy system. And then we have like the easy stuff for the M.2s where you can just, easily access the M.2s there. This one, you do have to unscrew to access the one underneath, but at least that one is easy to get to. And I'll try and pop that back on without dropping everything. There you go, easy. So that's our quick look at MSI's upcoming MPG X870i Edge TI motherboard, and this one should be available in Q3, I'm told, for $309, $310 US. Why 309? 310, let's be honest. All right, we'll move on and have a look at some motherboards. Okay, now another series of motherboards that I haven't quite got to reviewing yet is the B850 lineup. Guys, I am testing them. Hopefully the first video will be up a few weeks after we get back from Computex. I do have a lot of boards to look at, but, well, I guess adding to the list of boards, though this one is another Q3 release, so I'll probably have to do additional content to fit this one in, is a higher end Edge board. So it's an Edge TI version. So MSI do have a Mini-ITX B850 board, but it is a more entry-level board. So now they have a higher end version, the TI version, the TI version. So this board has dual M.2s, unfortunately not 3, but 2 is sort of the minimum amount we like to see on the Mini-ITX motherboards. It does have USB-C 20 gigabits per second, so lightning port there. You get Wi-Fi 7, 5 gigabit LAN, quite a few USB ports, so we'll probably get some shots of that to show you the I/O on it. But yeah, good looking board. I believe this board's going to be around $270 US, and again available in Q3. So it'll be a board that I test in the not too distant future, hopefully. And then lastly, we have another Mini-ITX motherboard here. This is a B860 board. We haven't done any B860 coverage, so probably won't be covering this board, but it could be a good option for those of you looking at those discounted Core Ultra 5 processors, for example. So the board features Thunderbolt 4, so 40 gigabits per second. You're also getting USB Type-C 10 gigabits per second. It has 5 gigabit LAN, obviously dual DIMM slots. It is dual M.2. And I should have mentioned, all of these boards do feature an 8-phase V-Core VRM. I believe the X870 board is 110 amp, and then I think 90 amp for the other two boards, but if that's wrong, we'll chuck something up on screen because I don't quite recall. Okay, so one of the criticisms we've had of MSI is their lack of AM5 motherboards, particularly the X870 range. They've had 4 X870/X870E boards prior to the show. They're now expanding that to 14, and the new flagship will be the Ace. So a lot of you guys are familiar with the Ace brand. There is the Godlike that sits above it, but that's more of a limited edition board, I would say. The Ace is the new flagship that you'll be able to readily purchase. Absolutely insane motherboard. I'm told it has an 18-phase V-Core VRM using 110 amp power stages, so you're going to be able to throw anything on that. USB 4, of course, so it's got 2 of those 40 gigabits per second ports, Wi-Fi 7, all the easy connectors and stuff like that for the PCIe, the M.2s. There's 5 M.2s in total, 2 of which are PCIe 5.0. So it's pretty much loaded with every feature possible. I believe it'll be available sometime in July. Not sure on pricing yet, but this will be a board to keep an eye on, and hopefully I'll be able to get one and test it out and see how it goes. Okay, so we have another new series of products here really. So a new Project Zero compatible case. Don't have to use it with Project Zero motherboards, which are the rear facing sort of I/O, all that sort of, is it I/O? You know, the connectors, the power connectors, all that sort of stuff are on the rear side of the motherboard. So this Project Zero case, well, supports Project Zero motherboards, which is what MSI call their rear facing boards. What's really cool about this one is we have the new Tomahawk Project Zero motherboard. It's the first Tomahawk board available in white. Again, it's sort of the white silver theme going on, but in this case, I think you'll agree it does all look very white. So first time we're seeing a Tomahawk Project Zero white motherboard. It looks fantastic. Really keen to get one of these and do a build like this. So the case and motherboard, again, I think they're going to be Q3 releases. And this case is the MAG Pano 130R PZ for Project Zero in white. So presumably there will be a black version as well, though that's not on display. And the case is set to be quite affordable, as a lot of the Project Zero cases are. This one, about $90 US, we're expecting it when it comes on sale later in the year. Now, inside the case, you might have noticed something really cool. I believe it's called the MAG Vision Lite 12 LCD screen. It is a 1920 by 720 screen, if I get the pixel ratio correct on that one. But what's really cool about this, we've seen screens inside cases before, and they usually sort of plumb out and you plug in using an HDMI or DisplayPort into your graphics card, so it takes up one of your monitor outputs, which is a bit annoying if you have a triple monitor display or something like that. This doesn't do that. It is a USB screen. So you connect it either internally via one of the USB headers, or you can connect it externally, as we have an external example here. And this just functions as another monitor on your computer. So you can use it with your mouse and put whatever you want on it. Inside the case, we're showing hardware info and information here. A bit more expensive, this item. So the case, $90. This is expected to be about $120. But it's pretty unique, pretty awesome little bit of kit, the fact that you can use it via USB. So something that we're pretty keen to check out in the future. All right, what we have here is the Supreme Titanium Edition. Tim calls it the Oil Baron Edition. It's, well, first of all, it is actual titanium that they've wrapped the card in, for reasons not quite sure, and it's going to be gold. So as you're showing here, this is actually going to be a real product, available in all regions, and yeah, titanium graphics card. So they're taking the Supreme to the next level there. Not sure what else to say about that. It does look pretty cool, but I'm not sure how many builds it will actually really blend into and suit well. All right, MSI is trying to tap into gaming nostalgia. You guys may remember, it's sort of a Zellman type look, but they did have coolers like this back in the day. This is the Cyclone. It is an RTX 5070, 12GB VRAM card, and they tell me it will have a little screen in the middle. So it's probably a card that you would want to face outwards. Not sure on what markets this is coming to, but it is a product they plan on releasing, but it may be a more of a region exclusive type thing. But yeah, sort of an old school looking card. Pretty neat and very different to the graphics cards that we have today. And MSI is also bringing back the Twin Frozer, which is more of a classic design as well. But truth be told, it is quite similar to a lot of the graphics cards that we see today. But this was back when dual fan graphics cards first started becoming a thing. We got the Twin Frozer. So they're deciding to bring that back. Again, don't know which regions will be getting this card. This particular model is meant to be an RTX 5060 Ti 16GB. But yeah, pretty interesting, cooler, but yeah, very basic design there with the heatsink and all that sort of stuff. All right, so we're over with the Inspire series now, which sits just above the Ventus. It's designed to offer slightly better thermals, but still a very sort of minimalistic, I wouldn't say simplistic design, because they're still quite complicated GPUs, you know, huge copper base, lots of heat pipes and stuff like that. So thermal performance should be good, but there is a new, even more compact dual fan version, which I can kind of pick up. So there we go. And, you know, full size backplate, all that sort of stuff, a pass-through area for airflow. It's quite lightweight, but yeah, expecting pretty good performance out of that one. And one of the cooler features of this series is the fact that you are getting a metal fan shroud. So it's a metal plate on top and a rear metal back plate. So despite the fact that it does just sit above the Ventus series, it does feel like a very premium graphics card. It's designed to do away with all of the gamer-focused stuff, which Tim says isn't gamer-focused stuff. RGB, all that.
Wait, hang on, what are you talking about here?
The RGB. You were quite insulted when you heard that RGB makes it a gamer card.
I feel like as a gamer that I should be able to enjoy a non-RGB design, so I quite like the Inspire personally. Just
wanted to make that clear. The Inspire is still a gaming graphics card. Okay, what we have here is the new Expert 5080. There was a 4080 Super version of this card. We now have the new 5080 version. This is a pull push through card design. I hear it'll be coming sometime in July. 5080 is the model that we've seen here at the show. Apparently it has a massive vapor chamber, and they're saying where the other cards, like this will sit under the Vanguard, where the Vanguard is a quad slot card. This is a triple slot card. So it's meant to deliver similar thermals and very quiet operation due to just the way they've designed the card. So very compact for a 5080 class product. Not sure if we'll be getting a 5090. Really nice, clean looking backplate. And so the air exits the card from the backplate. Sucked in through the front here. Pull through design. But yeah, pretty cool looking graphics card here. I'd be keen to check it out. Now this is really neat, this wall they've got here. So I thought I'd show you guys this. So we've got the various different vapor chambers from the 50 series graphics cards that MSI have on display here. And then a really close comparison of the coolers and their fans. So Ventus model here, we have the Supreme. You can see the huge size difference there. The Shadow here, which is like a blacked out version of the Ventus. Then we have the Vanguard series, so pretty big cooler still, similar to the Supreme, but not quite as big. And then the Gaming Trio, and then just the gaming model. So that's the dual fan, and then the Inspire, which we've also looked at. So that's all of the coolers there. You can see the different sizes, formats there. Most of them are triple fans. A couple of the back plates up here. And then we have the different fans from the Stormforce, the Torx fans that you guys will all be really familiar with, and the different iterations. So the Torx 1.8, it's really cool to see the evolution of the Torx fan, how it's got to today and then now into the Stormforce. Okay, what we have here is not so much a product, but more a feature that MSI are looking to add potentially to all of their products, or at least some of the more premium ones. Not 100% sure on that, but it is called, well, it's PIP, it's pin-in-paste technology, which basically means, well, they're calling it pin safe. I called it anti-stabby technology. I'm not sure what they're gonna go with. I told them they could use anti-stabby if they wanted. I don't know if I got them across the line on that one. But anyway, basically, there is no sharp, stabby bits behind stuff like your 24-pin power connector. For boards that don't have a rear back plate, sometimes when you grab the board, it can be a bit harsh, and there can be some smaller parts that are quite sharp, and they can stab you. So they're trying to make the boards easier and more comfortable to handle. And on that note, this board, which we'll talk about in a moment, often, and I don't know if this has happened to many of you guys, maybe it's just me because I do silly things like test 50 motherboards for one video, but during my 50 Z890 motherboard video, for example, where I rounded up 50 motherboards, at least 3 times when I was removing the memory modules from the DIMM slots, you have to, and it's quite awkward when the motherboard's in the case, you have to push quite hard on the clips here to release the DIMMs. And a few times I slipped off, and a lot of the boards directly adjacent the DIMM slot have a 4-pin header, so PWM header. And the pins from that, at least one of them, went straight under my nail, and it hurt a lot. So they're now moving those connectors to the side of the board and trying not to have them around there, because apparently the MSI techs have also stabbed themselves multiple times and it hurt a lot. So that's just a little nice thing. So if you guys have stabbed yourself before, that'll be a thing that with MSI motherboards you shouldn't be able to do. I mean, I'll probably find a way to stab myself some other way, but that'll be one less way that I can stab myself. So we'll actually, while we're here talking about stabbing myself, in an unrelated note, this is the new M-Power. For those of you who are old like me and have been tinkering with this stuff for a long time, MSI used to have an overclocking range called M-Power, and they're bringing M-Power back with an AM5 version. And basically the focus is, it's your OC focus board here, so none of the unnecessary things unnecessary to overclocking. So you're not going to get high-speed networking, though it does have 5 gigabit, but you're not going to get stuff like 10 gigabit or just oodles of USB ports and stuff like that. It really is sort of your roughly bare essentials on that front. Memory overclocking, big one here. So they're going for like 9,000 speeds and stuff like that. That's not fully certified yet for this board, but yeah, they're going for high memory speeds and stuff like that with the M-Power board. So other than that, big VRM, high speed memory, that's pretty much the board in a nutshell. Now, this big hunk of a thing is the Meg Maestro 900L giant case. That's pretty much what this is. You can put 420mm radiator in the bottom and the top, centrally mounted motherboard. It is a traditional motherboard tray in the sense that the motherboard tray can be removed from the case and it can be used as like a test bench, test bed. So if you need to diagnose stuff or that, or you want to use it as a test bench configuration as well, you can do so. This is still in the sort of prototype phase. It is something they plan on releasing. Stuff like the cable management cover here might get changed slightly, but the idea is to create like a centerpiece, high-end, awesome looking system that's very clean and easy to work with. And then they've used the Vision 12 monitors on either side there, but you can put 360mm radiators there or 6 120mm fans if you'd prefer to configure it that way. I believe $599 is the price for this case, so $600 US. Expensive case. I'm not even going to try and pick this one up. It just looks like it will break my back. So we'll move on. Now, this AIO with LCD screen included was just seen in the Maestro 900. It's the E13 360mm version, and yeah, it's an AIO. Now, it is designed to be centrally mounted with the tubing here. They're quite short tubes, but it's designed to be a really slim or sleek aesthetic, really easy to install, and yeah, gives you that clean look, which is what this case is all about. You can rotate this screen. When I disconnect it there, it's going to take about 10 seconds to boot back up. I think if you have the screen that way, you want the cables, I'm moving the whole thing now. You want the cables a bit to the side. I may have done that wrong. I've put it back. But yeah, it takes about 20 seconds or whatever to boot up and start working again, or less than that. So there you go, it's working again. You can obviously display whatever you'd like on the screen. It acts as a screen. The screen acts as a screen. We'll go with that. This is still in the sort of prototyping stage, so it is a product they plan on releasing, but there's no price or date just yet. So from the E13, we now have the P13, and the P13 is quite different. No giant LCD screen, though you do have a smaller LCD display, Hopefully you guys can see that okay, but we'll get some B-roll. Now this one uses the one type of mounting bracket, but it's universal. So this mounting bracket, which you can see here, works for the latest Intel and AMD platforms. And the cool thing is it has this magnetic housing, shroud, that just sticks straight over that, and it hides all the fixing hardware, so you get this clean look. So traditionally the coolers look more like this, where you can see the thumb screws and all that sort of stuff. But with this over there, it gives it a cleaner look. And the cool thing is there's actually no cables at all that come from the pump housing, and the water block. They are routed through the sleeved tubing to the fans on the radiator. And if you have an MSI compatible motherboard, it's simply one connector to power the pump, fans, and control the RGB. If you don't have an MSI motherboard, then there's the RGB cable, there's a USB cable, and you've got the 4-pin power cable, probably for the pump and fans. I believe that's the configuration. Not sure if there's a SATA cable there as well, but there's at least 3 cables if you're not using an MSI motherboard. But if you use this with an MSI board, it's just one cable, so it makes it all nice and sleek and easy to install and use. All right guys, we're going to do some SSDs unboxed. So we have the new Spatium M571 available in 1, 2 and 4 terabyte capacities. But this is really interesting because it uses the new Phison E28 controller. It's a 6nm PCIe 5.0 controller. I'm told it uses 20% less energy than previous models, so you don't need those gigantic tower style M.2 coolers that sit on top of the M.2 drive and risk damaging it. And of course the key aspect is 14,800 megabytes per second read and 14,000 megabytes per second write. So should be a very snappy drive that's a bit easier to keep cool. So possibly something we'll look at. And another storage related item we have here is the DATAMAG, and it previously was available in 20 gigabits per second. There is now a 40 gigabits per second model. So USB 4 available in 1, 2 and 4 terabyte capacities. Very neat little drive, because while it is just an external SSD essentially, the unique case that MSI has come up with is magnetic MagSafe technology. And if you have a device that doesn't support magnetic mounting of other devices, they do include a magnet that can be stuck to, say, your laptop, for example. Similar to, for those of you who are familiar with like disc plates would mount them. So the drive can be just popped on the lid of your laptop there, so it's not floating around your desk and getting in the way. So pretty neat. And yeah, USB 4, so high speed performance there. Should be able to fill that thing up in no time, even if you do buy the 4 terabyte model. Finally, a big thank you to G-Skill and Trix for helping to make our Computex trip possible this year. G-Skill offers an amazing range of DDR5 memory with AMD Expo support, allowing you to get the most out of your Ryzen processor, and we've been using their Trident Z5 Neo memory in our test systems for years now, as we rely on it to get the best results. We've also started using Trix coolers, and I've got to say the Panorama SE360 Black is one of the best looking AIOs I've ever seen. The quality of the rotatable display is incredible, and as complex as the design appears, it's remarkably quick and easy to install. So for more information, please check the links in the video description. Alright guys, just quickly, that wraps up our MSI booth and HQ tour, checking out all those new motherboards. It looks like I have a lot of work to do when I get back. I already knew I had a lot of work to do with those B850 boards, but apparently there is a lot more of them incoming, which probably good that I delayed the content as much as I have, so I can cover all of them for you guys. But anyway, we'll wrap this one up and we'll go check out some more stuff in some upcoming content.